Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Before I get into this video, I'd like to ask you all to please leave a like or comment on my video and consider hitting that subscribe button. Now, today's video is actually the analysis on PvE enemies. Now, previously I didn't have people out there who could help me with testing. However, yesterday I managed to join a fleet where we had an array of players playing across the different types of weapons. Now, one thing to note is um, my particular taste in gameplay makes me favor the growing difficulty of missions and stuff as you choose higher levels. However, the one thing that I do have to say is the tactics that they are deploying are quite high level in terms of gameplay. Now, let's start off with T6. I actually did the For Patriotism story mission to test out the difficulty. The difficulty in the mission wasn't actually up by the way in which they were playing. Their effective range on their Norse and certain weapon systems has really grown quite large. They gave them quite a boost in it. Now, as it is, the effective range has a fall off as you grow further and further away. They actually have an effect on you from up to 85 kilometers away right now. So once you reach 85, you will see that 8 and 9 energy drain actually affecting your capacitor. You start to drop rather quickly, and it does actually pile up quite heavily. So they have given them those skills instantly from the get go. So you can't really counter it at those massive distances either. Now, moving on, the smaller ships, such as your frigates and destroyers, are really easy to fight in terms of the gameplay. When you're fighting frigates and destroyers, they take their standard damage. Their gameplay strategy is exactly the same as it was previously. They try and get close to you, they try to webify you, and they try to hold you down for the other ships to hit. They're playing standard strategy, so there's nothing to worry about. However, when it comes to your bigger ships, now that is destroyers, cruisers, and battle cruisers, the strategies have changed. Even battleship strategies have changed in the higher ups, but let's just stick with the T6, which is only going to be cruisers and destroyers. The destroyers now move to their optimal ranges and try and pull you out a little bit closer to the fleet. They don't like drifting away too far, and trying to kite them into a single area is quite difficult. You'd actually have to get between them and the fleet and push them away by firing at them in the correct angle. Now, with that being said, it does make the fight a little bit more tedious and it takes it a little bit longer. By estimate, I'd say maybe about a minute or two longer because you have to take a little bit more damage and heal a little bit more. But other than that, there isn't much of a difference in the difficulty. Now, I am saying that I do like escalating difficulties, so that means that my opinion is biased to this type of gameplay. So, my liking of it isn't exactly what a general player might like. You might have liked it where a standard level, like a level 6, was only a level 6 difficulty. I feel that it goes from the previous level 4 difficulty all the way up to a level 8 type difficulty fight, which you would get in an Inquisitor or uh, a Scout. So those are the basics of how the small enemies have changed. Now the elites have had a massive difficulty change in them. They now try to play optimal range, evade, dodge, get you out of range of firing. They try to put themselves in the best positions to attack you. They're playing on different strategies from what they normally used to. They run away from you. They don't let you get close. They zigzag. They change orbits. They change directions. They do a lot of different things from what they used to do in the past. They've actually increased their number of operations by the looks of it, and they have started to reduce their usage of warp disruptors. As far as I could tell, because they never got close enough to me to use warp disruptors. In all of the enemies that I touched in T6 within the high level mission, I never once got warp disrupted. And I was up to 25 kilometers close, but the only thing they tried to do was run away. Now, this is a bad and a good thing at the same time. It means that the rewards from these missions have become smaller because of the usage of less advanced weapons. We may be seeing disruptor weapons take those places in the future, starting tomorrow or as soon as the 31st launch starts up with all the Halloween the Halloween editions. Now, is it possible to still solo missions? Yes, it is still possible to solo T6, T8, and I would say it is possible to solo T10, but I'm not 100% sure. When it came to Inquisitors and Scouts, the difficulty within a okay, I've only tried T7 and T8. The difficulty within a T7 Scout was quite a lot higher. The drops were a lot lower, and the amount of reward and bonuses that you were getting from the end reward crates were reduced drastically. Now, I know that there is a massive disadvantage to a lot of players, but please don't take it to heart. From a T8 Inquisitor, from one of the reward boxes, the biggest reward I found was three blueprints for mining efficiency. Now, even though they are blueprints for mining efficiency, they still have to be crafted in order for you to actually apply them to sell in a market properly, because their price without being crafted is quite low. And once crafted, they are worth 150 million ISK, and they require a lot of planetary materials to be able to be used. And the fact that T8 is in dead space and the introduction of interdiction sphere starts in a few hours means that fleeting in and out of high sec space is going to be the only way to travel. The amount of people setting up gate camps at the moment and getting ready for interdiction spheres is a massive number. I believe I've seen at least 6 or 7 fleets preparing to make interdiction gate camps, and I'm not sure how you are going to be able to transport materials from high sec into low sec or from low sec into high sec. It seems like the difficulty is about to increase drastically. Now, as for possible routes in and out of high sec, there are still routes that are open, and it does take a little while to try and figure out which ones aren't being camped. There are several new corporations who have tried to engage the Trimark CNK fleets. That's Pandemonium and EVSE. I'm not exactly sure on what their real name is. I just know the logo for the corp because of the fact that you find them camping multiple gates, and the kill mail you just see EVSA when you see it for another player's kill mail. So yeah, they have been trying to move into Aquarius catch, and it looks like they might actually be trying to push down south towards Astoria and Paragon Soul. Now, with the interdiction spheres and all of these being added, it makes a massive difference to your high-end gameplay. Faction cruisers and faction frigates are right now at a massive disadvantage against the heavier hitting ships like a Cyclone. Without the use of micro warp drives and heavy burst technology to give them that massive boost in speed, they can actually be taken out quite quickly. That's for the smaller ships, obviously, the frigates. The cruisers now are at a very equal standstill to the battle cruisers because the interdiction spheres block everybody's warp signatures. You can't really warp out, and you have to fight within the interdiction sphere. That means scrambler technology is going to be very important for faction cruisers to actually negate being destroyed by battle cruisers. Even though they are equal in terms of firepower, it is the speed that gives the faction cruiser its advantage. It still can have speed, but a lot of players use micro warp drives on faction cruisers over the addition of afterburner. Right now, afterburners are the game meta and need to be used more on those types of vessels. Okay, moving on, something else to note with the whole change in the T7, T8 enemies. T8 large ships will move to their optimal firing ranges that is going to be outside of your regular firing ranges with battle cruisers and battleships. Sorry, no, with your cruisers and battle cruisers. So in T7 you don't really get battleships. In T8 you do get battleships. However, in T7 you do get some battle cruisers running large equipment, and what they do when they're running large equipment is they try to move back to an optimal range to fire on you, and at this optimal range when they fire on you, they actually do a massive amount of damage and they actually break through your defenses. Now, with this being said, I know a lot of players are going to wonder if there are any things they can do to lead up to future DLCs. Sorry, not DLCs, future patches. Well, yes, there are things that are going to lead up. they might even make these enemies more difficult. From what I was told, they play more difficult forms of gameplay, and the ability to drain your capacitor as efficiently as they are doing it right now is not the way that it works even for you as a player. If you engage your Norse, you aren't really effective at 85 kilometers. You're only effective at something like 35 kilometers with the new upgrades being put in place. Now, I'm not saying that it is 100% guaranteed that it is 35 kilometers. It might not even reach 35 and only be effective up to 25 kilometers. Okay, so I have spoken about the difficulty level increase in the enemies and the playstyle changes. Now, I am going to get into the battle cruiser and battleship difficulty changes. Number one, they opt to run away from you from the start of the battle, forcing you to push in close towards the frigates and the destroyers. Number two, they open fire on you with large range assaults. Now, this means that large range assaults will be able to land on you and do minor damage. I take an average of about 10% per hit from the battleships and about 5% per hit from a battle cruiser. Now, with their long range assaults, they keep doing this damage to me without me actually being able to orbit away from them to negate the effects even more. But however, once all the frigates and cruisers are out, the battle format returns to normal. It's just simple evade and finish off the higher level enemies. Now, all of this being said, it doesn't mean the game is unplayable. It still is very easily playable. However, there is now the problem coming out in the next few hours where you're going to get a lot of fleets trying to box you in with interdiction sphere gate camps. Remember, interdiction spheres use fuel, and you are going to need to hold an interdiction sphere player with you to be able to complete the best possible combat. Now, I am saying that you need to hold someone with an interdiction sphere, and the way to do it is actually to drop out in the middle of warp. Now, what does that mean? When someone engages in warp and you know that it's like 20 AU or 15 AU, the first thing that you have to do is drop out mid space. Now, what does that mean? You are going to jump onto the player who's already warping. Let's say they're moving 10 AU. You know they're moving at 3 AU a second. You count 1, 2, 3, and you warp 2. Now, when you warp to them, you're warping in the middle of space. You're warping to a spot where nobody should be. And that is where you're going to hide your interdiction ship. Now, interdiction ships are so far not really that powerful. They don't have an advanced assault ability. They only have the ability to cast the interdiction spheres. So pairing them up with things like a Moa Guardian and a Mauler Guardian to give them armor and shield strength is a good idea. The three together in a formation will make the ultimate sphere combination because you, number one, can trap players out of warp. Number two, you can heal each other and keep each other in a safe space. And you can also evade most of the actual combat by pulling away in the right direction to get out of the sphere. However, this means running bigger fleets and bigger play styles. Yes, so that means fleeting is the biggest way to go right now in Nullsec. Small fleets will not work. Now, this is about the end of my video. I hope that you have enjoyed and have taken in this information, and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Your support to the channel helps the channel get a little bit bigger, and who knows, I might get a few players willing to help me with the research, and then it will mean more content will flow quicker. So thank you all for watching. Have a good day.